Chapter 12, Sculpture. Learning Objectives. Compare examples of freestanding, low relief, and high relief sculpture. Describe modeling, casting, carving, and constructive techniques used to make sculpture. Define and describe kinetic sculpture. Explain the parameters and components of mixed media sculpture. Discuss artists' use of installation and site-specific art to transform their surroundings. Martin Puryear, CFAO. Unpainted stack of wood on one side, large curving shape based on an elongated African mask on the other. The sculpture is a work in 3 dimensions. It has height, breadth, depth. Experience existing in space. 2 main types. We have freestanding sculpture and relief sculpture. So freestanding or in the round, sculpture is meant to be seen from all sides. With relief, sculpture projects from a background surface. Low relief or bas relief has a slight projection, like the Apollo coin. Here's Martin Puryear's CFAO 2006 to 2007. This is freestanding in the round sculpture. It's painted in unpainted pine and found wheelbarrow. Freestanding or in the round sculpture is meant to be seen from all sides. With a relief sculpture, it projects from a background surface. Low relief or bas relief has a slight projection like the Apollo coin here on the right. That is bas relief or low relief. Silver coin with Apollo from 400 BCE. Low relief or bas relief. An example is a temple complex of Angkor Wat, the center of the Khmer Empire in the 12th century. This is Army on the March. It's a delicate low relief carving. Army on the March relief from Angkor Wat, Cambodia, 1100 to 1150. It's sandstone. High relief, more than half of the natural circumference projects from the surface. Robert Longo, Corporate Wars, Wall of Influence. This is a high relief. Corporate Wars, Wall of Influence from 1982. It's the middle portion of a cast aluminum. Modeling is an additive process of building up materials such as clay, wax, or plaster. Ball player with 3-part yoke and bird headdress, here on the right, is naturalistic clay sculpture. It has fingerprint impressions visible. An armature is a rigid inner support under soft materials. Ball player with 3-part yoke and bird headdress, Maya, classic period, 600 to 800 CE. It's a ceramic with traces of blue pigment. Modeling, Auguste Rodin, naked ball sack. A small armature. It's gradually added plaster to the armature, and when the plaster dried, he removed the armature. Modeling example, Ken Price, Vink. It's non-representational. It's clay layered in acrylic paint. It has a mysterious iridescent quality. Casting is a process involving the substitution of one material for another. It's developed in ancient China, Greece, parts of Africa. It's used extensively in the West from the Renaissance times. The steps for casting: a mold is taken from an original work. It completely surrounds the original. The original sculpture is removed from the mold. It may require disassembly. Casting liquid is poured into the mold cavity, and the mold is removed when the liquid hardens. Here's the process. Clay core. Has the wax rods that drain in a wax cup. The mold is broken. You have a finished cast. Molten metal is poured in, draining of wax. lost wax casting process. In the lost wax process, the mold is only used once and it's destroyed to move the hardened cast. It's solid or hollow. Many items other than art are cast. Engine parts, dishes, children's toys. This is an example by Charles Ray, father figure. It's based on a green plastic toy tractor. It's enlarged to life size. It's cast in solid steel, weighs more than 18 tons. Dwayne Hansen, he cast actual people. Silicone rubber was applied to skin. He cut the cast away. He painted skin tones, added human hair and clothing. This example is called Man with Camera, and it has a jolt of realism. Auto body filler, polychromed in oil, mixed media, and accessories. It's life size. Rachel Whitered's casting, Untitled Hive 1. A beekeeper's hive filled with brown-orange resin. It gives the absence a new kind of haunting presence. Subtractive process of carving is taking away unwanted material. Michelangelo's Awakening Slave is a subtractive carving. Its unfinished piece reveals the process. It is the most challenging method because there's no error correction possible. Marble is the preferred material in the West. It can be polished for a smooth surface, and it is good for a high amount of detail. Awakening Slave from 1530 to 34, marble, height 9 feet. Carving from other materials. Carvings done from granite. It's less vulnerable to modern pollution. Sandstone, limestone can be carved. Schist is favored by Egyptians. Jade was favored by Chinese. It's suitable for small, elaborate pieces. It's very, very hard to carve jade. The raised bosses on surface of disc. This is a bidisc, which was representative of heaven and found as artifacts in funerals and burials. They were buried with people of high ranking or high moral caliber. Bai is associated with heaven. From the Western Han Dynasty, 100 to 220 CE. Wood carving is preference for walnut wood or in cypress wood. Elizabeth Catlett, Mother and Child. It's an abstract composition of sweeping curves and essential shapes. It's highly polished, smooth wood. Walnut wood. 38 inches tall from 1971, Mother and Child number 2. Constructing and assembling. Assembled sculpture became popular in the 20th century. Julio Gonzalez's example here is he pioneered the use of a welding torch in metal sculpture. He assisted Picasso. This is Maternity. It is airy, playful, and a feminine shape. Made of steel and stone. Almost 50 inches tall. Constructing and assembling. Phillida Barlow created this ungainly construction that fills galleries to the point of obstruction. As a teetering piece, gives a visual jolt to viewers. It's carefully engineered for safety. Untitled Stilted Crates, 2015. Timber, polyurethane foam, polystyrene, cement, steel, plywood, plastic fastening, paint, hardboard, and PVA. 8 parts. Constructing and assembling, we have Mark Andre Robinson's Throne for the Greatest Rapper of All Time. It has a lower center, found chairs, and they're found from thrift stores or old used furniture. It has a higher back and wings that dignify the intended sitter. Made in 2005, made of wood. Martin Perrier's Constructing Possibilities. The difference is so great when you go into the third dimension, he says. Served in the Peace Corps in Sierra Leone. He admired woodworkers for their resourcefulness and skill. This is called hominid. The creation shows obvious craftsmanship. Work is designed to suggest shapes, viewers then complete in their minds. Hominid 2007 to 2011 is created from eastern white pine. Sculpture that moves is kinetic sculpture. Alexander Calder is a pioneer of kinetic sculpture, which focused on shape, space, and movement, often called mobiles, when parts move in response to small air currents. Jesus Rafael Soto's Inscritura Hurtado writing, wire slowly sways in response, resembles strokes of handwriting. Moves with wind. 1975. It is paint, wire, nylon cord, and wood. Some kinetic sculptures move under human-made power. Tinguely's Meta Harmony 2 used electricity to make it move. Viewers activate the work. It creates a cacophony of sound. Tinguely. 1979. Mobile scrap iron sculpture with musical instruments and other objects. 3 parts: iron, sheet metal, brass, plastic, rubber, wood, leather, glass, electric motor. Mixed media is a variety of media in a single work. It often represents a cultural or symbolic meaning. Haegu Chung, Inopportune, Stage 1. 9 automobiles are perforated with light tubes. References both contemporary action movies and car bombings by terrorists. 9 cars in sequence multi-channel light tubes. Created in 2004. Laura Schnitger, fabric over wooden armatures, creating sculpture and hollow interiors. In her mixed media pieces, elements of fashion design. Dressmaking is a feminist message. This is called Grim Boy. It's 6 feet tall. It's like a gangly teenager, tense, lurking, and a bird-like stare. Wood, fabric, and mixed media. 2005. Nick Cave uses extremely wide variety of media. In his sculpture, has an antique couch, a ceramic dog, metal flowers, a light fixture, and more. It has a strong element of fantasy. Creates sculpture that juxtaposes recognizable things. It's mixed media, including ceramic birds, metal flowers, ceramic Doberman, vintage settee, and a light fixture. For installation, artists treat an entire space as an artwork and they transform it. Raphael Lozano Hemmer's Airborne projected news stories onto walls. Viewer shadows block the text. It's a new way for viewers to interact with the news of the day. From 2013. Site-specific works. There are works intended only for particular locations. The best known site-specific artist is Richard Serra's Tilted Arc. It's a steel blade 12 feet high. It blocked view, it collected graffiti, it became a homeless shelter in the middle of a federal office plaza. Artists sued when the city wanted to relocate the work, claimed it was meant for that spot. The court ruled that the government, as owner of the work, could dispose of it. And hopefully you know of Richard Serra's Vortex at the Modern Art Museum of Fort Worth. Tilted Arc is from 1981. Site-specific work. Olafur Eliasson's Waterfall resembles the gardens of Versailles. Huge cascade appears to emerge out of nowhere. It's an extreme version of waterfalls and foundations on the grounds. 2016, it says crane water stainless steel pump system hose ballast at the Palace of Versailles. And that's all we have.